Hello out there, everyone. And for those of you who were here before, welcome back to the J Spot. And for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, welcome to the J Spot. My name is Jay Arrington, and I am your host. And let me say, I really appreciate you taking some of your valuable time to spend with me. Hopefully, it will be worthwhile. And if you believe it is, give me a thumbs up like. And if you'd like to follow the content going forward, please subscribe. Most people who know me professionally call me Mr. J. Students, clients, co-workers. So feel free to refer to me as Mr. J or just the J Spot. It's up to you. When I posted my first video a few days ago, I gave a brief overview of what the platform would be about. My purpose here is not therapeutic. I am not trying to be anyone's counselor. But my purpose here is to help people, if they feel like they need help, discover new things about themselves, rediscover things about themselves that they had thrown aside, re-envision visions, and resurrect dreams. And also, more importantly, purpose. I believe wholeheartedly, as I said before in the previous video, that words are seeds. And anything that we plant with our mouths, that is what life is going to feed us. The three most powerful words in the English language: let there be. But beyond that, when I speak about purpose, I'm talking about why are we here? Because I believe we're seeds also, just in a different form. We were planted in this earth for a purpose. Marcus Aurelius once said, and I'll read it if you don't mind, a person who doesn't know what the universe is doesn't know where they are. A person who doesn't know their purpose in life doesn't know who they are or what the universe is. A person who doesn't know any one of these things doesn't know why they are here. Interesting. Why are we here? Okay? Why are we here? One of my aha moments about why I was here or why I'm here occurred, of course, when I was a victim of that violent crime back in 1999. Another one, just as important maybe a little bit more perhaps, in a different context, was in 2008. I was in Atlanta at the airport awaiting a flight to come back to Jersey. I had been down there for a weekend at a gospel workshop. I had been invited to come and perform, to sing, and to give us talk about copyright infringement and intellectual property. So I'm sitting there in the airport. I had about an hour before my flight, and I'm just chilling. And I'm watching all the different people go back and forth, coming and going and forth, back and forth. Domestic flights, departures, and arrivals. But mostly I was concentrating on the international flights, people coming in and leaving. And I was captivated by the thought that, wow, look at all these different people and cultures and ethnicities that you know nothing about. And I was particularly captivated by the people from Africa. The brilliance of the colors they were wearing and the array, and more than anything else, the purpose for which they walked. They walked with a purpose. You know, you could tell that they were not there for games. And they didn't come to the United States to play games. They came here with purpose driven. And I thought to myself, you know what, Jay? For everything that you think you know, you don't really know anything. And as I reflect back on that time, as it relates to Marcus Aurelius saying, if you don't know what the universe is, you don't know who you are. And I thought about it recently. I was like, at that time, and even to a degree today, to some degree, my universe, the universe as I see it, only exists based on what I've seen with my own two eyes. I only know really what I've seen with my own two eyes. And of course what I've heard, but you can't believe everything you hear, but I definitely can believe what I'm looking at. I don't gaslight myself. And I don't tell myself, don't believe your lying eyes. But I digress. And so when I think about that, why is it that my universe, or how could I expand the universe as I know it? And I believe, and I thought to myself, it's going to require some change. And you are going to start to have to pursue purpose. And how do we do that? From my perspective, I've thought it took me back to something I read a few years ago that I share a lot with clients. It's the butterfly principle. The butterfly principle, transformation. And even though the article related to transformation through failure, I'm going to take it to a different, look at it from a different perspective. Not so much failure, not failure at all, but the struggle and how it relates to, and how we can draw inspiration from the struggle. See, in the first stage of the butterfly principle, it's the caterpillar stage. And from the time the caterpillar is hatched, it only has one thing on its mind: to eat. That's all it wants to do. It eats. And the reason that it's eating is because it's hungry, of course, but there's a more deeper level to it. It's eating because it needs the fuel. That's how it gets the fuel that's required for it to fulfill its purpose and to ignite it along its journey. So it eats, and it eats constantly eating. And during that caterpillar stage, that caterpillar sheds its skin at least 5 times, 4 to 5 times, because it's growing, right? Now think about it from this perspective. How many times have you shed skin that you become new, something new that you recognized? And so, what is it we should be gathering that we can liken to the energy that the caterpillar receives from eating? Ours is knowledge. Knowledge is what? Knowledge is power. See, if we pigeonhole ourselves only to what we see, and we don't seek things beyond that, if we only use our sight and not our vision, how do we ever expect to expand our territories and enlarge our tents? And so, once the caterpillar has gathered all the fuel that it needs, what do you think happens to it? What happens in its environment? What changes in its environment when it becomes something different? Well, in nature, it's fat and juicy. So what happens when it's fat and juicy? It draws more predators. It's already prey, but it draws more predators. And it's the same thing with us. The more exposed we are to the world, and the world sees more of us, the more haters, predators in nature, haters in the world. And even though the caterpillar has no idea what its purpose is, there are things in nature that want to stop it from reaching that goal or that plateau. And even though we don't know what our purpose is initially, some of us never find out what it is. There are people, haters, and other people in the world that can see our purpose on us. And unfortunately, there are people in the world who wake up every day to try to keep people like you from reaching your purpose, fulfilling your purpose. So, back to the caterpillar. What does it do to protect itself? It creates a safe environment for itself by encasing itself inside of a cocoon. Safety, a safe environment where it can continue its journey without distractions, without fear of being gobbled up by the predators. And so too must we create a cocoon, but a mental one, to keep ourselves safe from the attacks of the world, from the haters and the predators and the things and the spiritual demons that want to prevent us from fulfilling our purpose. The noise, the fads, the fashions, the trends, the social media, the clicks, the likes that we become obsessed with. Pursuing progress, not pursuing progress. We're pursuing materialistic things instead of pursuing our purpose. Unfortunately, some people conflate the two, that professional success is purpose. They're not the same thing. Maybe in some cases, but the majority of the time, your purpose is separate from your success, professionally, that is. Not all the time, but most of the time. And so while the caterpillar's in the cocoon, what is it actually doing? Because it's still got a ways to go. And unbeknownst to a lot of people, you'd be surprised to know that caterpillar is in there eating itself. It's liquefying itself to pure liquid. This is how it transforms from a caterpillar to a butterfly. Can you imagine doing that to yourself? And I don't mean physically, literally. What I mean is that can you imagine denying yourself pleasure so you can become something else? After all, we are nothing but pleasure seekers. From the time we're born, we have our mouth wide open asking for somebody to make us feel better. Can you imagine having to give up things that bring you comfort and bring you pleasure in order for you to become brand new and for you to continue your journey towards your purpose? And so once the caterpillar is liquefied, then the cells have to start doing something. According to the article that I read years ago, the cells migrate and they begin to form the shape of a butterfly. But think about that. Can you imagine shape shifting like Michael Jackson did in Thriller? That's got to be painful. Teeth popping out, eyeballs popping out, growing wings. Of course, the butterfly doesn't have teeth. But I'm talking about Michael Jackson, hair, ears, toenails popping through your shoes. Ah, good Lord. But once the butterfly is formed, it still has to go through another stage. Now it's in the butterfly stage. And in this stage, excuse me, and in this stage, it's formed its wings. It has the proboscis, no teeth, of course, but now it has to get out of that cocoon. How does it do that with no teeth? It has to fight its way out and push its way out, struggle its way out. But it's in the struggle that it strengthens its wings. And if by chance someone were to pass by and see that butterfly struggling to get out of that cocoon and crack it open so it could get out, that butterfly would never fly. Because again, it's the struggle that gives the wings its strength to fly. And lots of times, like us, we find ourselves struggling alone. And we wonder why. And we often ask God or higher power, whomever we look to as our higher power, why is it I have to struggle alone? I heard a quote some months back. It said, person asked God, why do you put me through such troubled waters? And God replies, because your enemies can't swim. It's in the struggle where we gain our strength. And it's important because when you reach your purpose and you begin to live your purpose, you have to have had to acquire a discipline that will allow you to handle that. Because to whom much is given, much is required. You have to be strong enough to handle that success. Because you have to understand, you have been planted here with a purpose. You have been planted here with a sanctification that you are here to do something special. So you have to have a discipline. You have to understand what your investment, what your success costs you, so you don't squander it or you don't take it for granted. And so today's poem is Morph Talk. And it goes like this. Butterfly, butterfly, share with me one thing. What was your life like before you had wings? What were you thinking inside your cocoon, inside of your self-made tiny silk room? Did you ever grow tired of being in there? Did you yearn for the sun and a breath of fresh air? What did you do to avoid being bored? Was all that you did on yourself was just gorge? Did you ever one time feel like just giving in? Be content with just being what you always had been? Did you ever think time was just passing, moving too slow? That you'd better things to do and places to go? Did you ever think life was just passing you by? Did you find yourself often just asking why? Did you spend your time always complaining, never noticing that you were actually changing? Butterfly, butterfly, share with me one thing. What was your life like before you had wings. Share with me your secret. What must I do so that one day I'll have my wings just like you? And the butterfly said, I did nothing special. This much is true. I only did what I was born to do. I did nothing special. I did nothing rare. I had to do something while I was in there. And so, folks, what were you born to do? How are you going to look back on your life and judge it before you had wings? Don't curse the struggle. It's the struggle that gives you the strength. And if you find yourself alone in your struggle, remember that the discipline acquired is for you when you reach and realize your purpose, when you begin to live your purpose. Where have you laid your dreams? Where have you laid your dreams? And if by chance you find yourself looking down on your struggles, I hope it's only because you're flying. Thank you for spending time with me in the J Spot. Peace.